Welcome to the Illuminators Workshop with a special episode. We got ourselves the Mike Ferrante. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. What's going on, my man?
It's great to have you around, and you have some pretty good news for us that I think most people who know you have heard. But what'd you get to this weekend, Mike?
Yeah, so this past weekend I went to the Ink Invitational, the CCQ. It was a stacked room. It was what is the final number? It was like 268 players. I ended up losing in the finals, unfortunately, but I was the second seed going after Swiss. I went 7-0-2 day one. I went 7-0, and then I just decided to draw the last two rounds. My tiebreakers were insane, so I ended up the second seed. I played seven people or six people that were in top 16. So my tiebreakers were insane. I put myself in the best position to get my invite. That was my goal. I put the testing in for the week leading up to it. And I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna rent a car and go down and try and get my invite. So
Heck yeah,
it was pretty cool to get as close as I did. I was one game away.
of
It's still a
course.
sour taste in my mouth, but time will
No,
do.
I think it's also sometimes step back and look at it as also it's such a great achievement. It's such a great thing to be able to get up there. There was 281 other players that were less fortunate than even you two. That you had a great run too, and it looks like you had a great deck too. And I think there's going to be a lot of purple steel coming up. It's always been there. It's kind of like that. So it's like, man, it just won't go away.
So my leading into the event, I saw the DLC obviously, and then the other CCQ that was overseas. And I had a feeling that Dogs was obviously going to have an uptick because it won the DLC. But I saw the Purple Steel list that won the other CCQ, and I really did like it. So shout out to that player. I don't want to butcher their name, but I know it was a female player, and she played great. I was watching the streams, and she piloted the deck very well. And I just took the idea of not having to play Dumbo and try and just play cards that were more to my style. And I loved that Lexington was just, I tried to pinpoint, everyone was saying that Blurple was a worse matchup for the deck. And I went, I think 11-1. I think I played six Blurple, played three in top cut besides Dogs. All of the decks I played in top cut were Blurple. And then I played Dogs in the final. And then I think I played 3 or 4 day one. And I only dropped one game. The deck does what it's supposed to do, and it's supposed to go 1, 2, 3, 4 strength on the play,
Hmm.
and then it's kind of hard. It's hard to battle back when you're on the draw, obviously, and that's why I felt like Lexington was the best card to play on three when you're just gonna try and also tap something, and kill it. And at least you're putting if they do that, they gotta have the basil.
Lexington does a substantial amount of damage. You don't really want to be attacking Lexington.
No, and a lot of people were honestly tapping it with Elsa, and then they would use a Into the Unknown on it with the drop thing instead of obviously crashing both of them into it, the genie or the
Hmm.
Dumbo that they played, and that would just get me to 6 ink. So then I would go Yzma Doc and refill my hand, and I Yzma to refill again. It was
So
weird that
yeah, the Yzma seems really interesting in place of Dumbo, where it's also a more pressure oriented card. The quest for two as well. Sometimes you just draw three cards,
yeah.
three.
So in the mirror, the card's insane because they can't. If you have the 1, 2, 3, 4 strength, and you in your fourth card, the turn four is Yzma, and you answer their singer on with, you just blow them out. The game's over. You just tap and draw three the next turn on top of doing something else. It's just insane. Rather than just getting the one card from Dumbo, you're investing your whole turn. You're tapping four for Dumbo and then one for another evasive, where you can just tap Yzma and still have all of your ink available, and you're drawing three cards or two cards at most. It was times where I just tapped her to draw two cards because it's just another dock. And then some people forget the quest for two. Just
No,
apply
exactly.
pressure.
It's just a quest for two.
Um,
Sometimes. What were your thoughts about some of the one drops I see that you
yeah,
for
I,
Diablo, for Captain
yeah.
Hooks, three
So like I said,
Olafs? How is that working for you?
yeah, Lexington and Diablo. I kept preaching the whole weekend were my
Hmm.
two favorite cards playing into Blurple. Diablo was so good. I know people have mixed feelings or they wrote it off or whatever. And I was looking at a bunch of Purple Steel lists leading into the event while I was testing, and I saw everybody was playing Palace Guard over it. And I just couldn't wrap my head around it. I understand that Palace Guard's a 1/4, keeps the damage for cat. You're able to probably quest more on turn one. I have to say, Diablo saved me literally It was game 2 in top 4, but I won my top 4 match in multiple rounds by just crashing it into something and getting that extra card in my hand. My top 4 match, the second game, was probably one of the craziest games of Lorcana I ever played. My opponent was at 19. I locked down his 2 Demoners for like 2 turns in a row. I then crashed my Diablo in, ripped the dock into a strength, and then I needed to draw an Elsa off the second dock, which I did. And it was just some like I had a group of people watching, and
Jeez.
it was nuts. It was one of the
Everybody's
craziest.
just trying not to go nuts because they're also trying not to like it's the middle of the game, but like, you can't help but people to kind of you feel the tension. Did he really just?
But I counted my ink out and I played to my outs and I knew I needed to draw the Elsa and that was just one of the incidents. But then there was also games where I turn one. There was a round where I went turn 1 Christopher Robin on the draw, and then I played 2 Diablos on turn 2, which isn't what you really want to do. You don't want to do 2 1-drops, but he just missed the 1-drop, went sail, and I was like, oh, I'm just racing you. And then I got to like, and then the other thing was crazy is that he didn't kill them. He just let me quest with both of the Diablos because he didn't want to give me the card. And then next thing it's 13-2, and I play
Mm-hmm.
Cobras. I'm just gonna end the game soon, and that's just
Only 1 or 2 Cobras and questing with a Yzma, or even if you kill them now, it's they've already done their damage. They're going to draw a card. Now, the thing you were scared of before, where you have to kill my Diablo. Now I have a card, and I've gained 7 lore off this Diablo. For
in my
one for
top
one
8
ink.
match. In my top 8 match, my opponent he hard casted into the unknown on the Diablo because I was at 13, 14 lore, and he didn't want to give me the card, and I was like, "That's okay. That's a fair trade for me.
That's
I'll
yeah,
take it."
of
But
course.
shout out to every single one of my opponents over the weekend. Everybody in like that room. Like I said, there's 200, I think, and 68 players. Nothing against anybody. Like when we say great players or good players, but there was amazing players in that room that for just being a CCQ from round 1 to the finals. Every single one of
Great
them.
opponents. Those are
Yeah,
the best
like
kind of tournaments to do well in because you're like, man, I'm playing against some great players. And something I've noticed about Lorcana that I really have grown to appreciate is just like professionalism and the kindness. You know what I mean? Like it's unlike most other card games I've seen, especially in the competitive scene where people are
yeah, like
just so courteous, and so willing to extend that hand even when they lose. Obviously, there's always going to be players who are a little salty, but I think Lorcana happens to have some of the better players that take the high road.
you can ask any one of my opponents, even in the finals, you'll see, or my future matches. I shake my opponent's hands before every game, 1, 2, and 3, doesn't matter. And you can even see in the finals, it was rough for me to sit there and watch Sailor celebrate with his teammate Luke. But I sat there and I hugged both of them afterwards. Sailor, I hugged him, and he was basically crying. And I was like, dude, you deserve it. You're a great player.
Yeah.
It's no, if we went into the finals saying at least one of us is going to get our invite, and that's the good kind of finals that we have.
Mm-hmm.
Finals that you can enjoy. There was tension in the room, but like we were.
You obviously
This
want
is
it
just
in the
a.
moment.
This is just
You're
another
going
game.
for it, but absolutely,
It's
it is.
just another game of Lorcana, and just the stakes are a little bit higher. But shout out to my opponent. Shout out to Sailor. I love that dude. He's awesome. Every event, I see all those guys from that team, and anybody. I love the community. It's just awesome. The amount of people that reached out event after the event, you just making sure I was good because it's a heartbreaking loss and stuff like
No,
that. But
no.
I can't say enough for about everyone. I tell everyone playing the game's a bonus. Seeing everyone is the real prize of the game. Traveling, hanging out with the homies. So
Absolutely.
that was awesome. Shout out to you, Zach. I gotta give you a shout
Yeah,
out,
yeah,
Zach,
yeah.
because
Oh,
I
I
gotta let
appreciate
I let people know Zach let me use basically the whole deck.
it.
He saved me hours driving from home, and he
All the
let me
cards on
literally
it.
on Friday night drop the deck off before I left to come down. And shout out to you, bro. That was huge. So
It comes nothing but happiness to me when I hear literally the next day we're like, oh, by the way, I'm 7-0. I'm like, oh,
dude, because I was so
Russia.
locked in. I was like, I want no distractions. I didn't even call my wife. I want no distractions. I'm so locked in. I just want this invite. And it was paying off. I was just cruising. I don't know how many games I lost. I was so locked in. I wasn't even keeping track of my spreads or anything, but I had a lot of 2-0s. But I believe I can break it down. I played Jeremy. I don't want to butcher his last name, Zan's friend. He was on Whale OTK, which was kind of scary for me because that's
Mm-hmm.
not a good matchup. And I was like, this is what happens round 1. Either you're gonna play a meta deck or you're gonna play some off meta deck, and it's just gonna ruin your day. But I have a lot of games into that deck. I played it multiple times, trying to make it better and stuff like that. And so I knew I needed to keep my Elsa or Demona to tap the whale, and I just had it both games 1 and 3 so that I could able to clear the whale so he couldn't OTK me the next turn. But he played the matchup great. He OTK'd me game 2. I just couldn't answer the whale. And then from there, I don't know the order, but I played 2 dogs, 1 blue steel,
Angel seems like a great toolbox for dogs now too. I was messing around with dogs a little bit on online, and it was just Angel just being able to shotgun something every turn. It's like, oh, boom, and then even if they try to answer it, it's still
Yeah,
gotten its
so
value already.
the card's really good. It turns every card obviously into a fire the cannons. It can help you if you have 2 docks in your hand. You can just discard a dock. That's why I was on 4 dock. It helps you. Same thing with like Cobra. It gives you that discard outlet to help your hand out. You don't obviously want to have to do that, but it fixes
No,
your
no,
hand
no.
more than you
If
should do
it
that.
becomes advantageous against dogs, where you blast
But
three
you
dogs
can
with it, and then your hand's empty now after 3 turns of this. Now you get effective docks off the top.
And then if you watch like that, I'm sure a bunch of people watched the game 1 against me versus Sailor, the one game I won, but I literally just stopped at 4 ink. I had a cat, a Calhoun, and an angel on the board. And I just cleared his whole board. I just kept discarding and moving 2, and I just cleared his whole board every turn. Just kept questing for 3 or 4, or whatever it was. And then that was the game. That was
It
just
being,
the route I took.
mhm.
So and also like, people say it's a bad card like to blurple sometimes, but it's really not. Like I picked off so many basils where they just left them on the board because they didn't have the Elsa. They don't always have Elsa on 5, so they can't clear your thing, and then you just slap an angel down, and then you ping the basil, and that protects your Lexington or your cat, so they can't kill that when they do draw the Elsa or they demona you or whatever. So no, Angel was definitely a really good card. It wasn't really as dead as people want say it is into certain matchups, but it did good. One of the dogs players, he was on Chromacon. I won because I had double Angel and I was just able to he couldn't if he bounced it, I would just reuse it again, but then I would have the
Mhm.
second one and I just had enough cards in my hand to I was like, I can't ink anymore because he was at 19, and it got to the point where Angel's one of the few cards where you can target your own card. So I was making plays where I pinged my own guy to kill it so that he couldn't win with Go-Go. And then there was another play where I pinged my own Olaf to bounce my Genie 3-drop that had 3 cards under it to refill my hand. And the guy that I was playing was like, "Oh, I didn't even see that play." And I'm like, "That's just practicing and seeing the lines if you time."
No,
Yeah.
it's such a value engine to have bounce effects, especially self bounce effects
Yes.
on things like that, where it's like, oh my goodness, I can bounce
When
a genie that has 5 cards under it, and I've already gained the 5 lore off of it, and then now Olaf dying, I've probably gained a bunch of lore off Olaf because they've been scared to bounce something.
So there was one Blurple player, we were in a crazy grind game too, and I played that Genie 3-drop, and it sat there, and I quested for 7 because he had 3 of the big genies in the graveyard, and we were just top decking, and I was like, he can't really kill it unless even if he draws an Elsa or a Demona here, he doesn't have anything. He has like nothing really that can kill it on the board. And then I just kept picking off everything he had, but I was like, if I turn it sideways, I felt like he had an Into the Unknown for some reason. I don't know. I just didn't want to quest, and he did. I was just making crazy reads too all weekend. I was just like I felt like it was my weekend.
Locked in,
I was
thin
locked in.
man.
I was making
Mm.
right plays, and I was reading everyone's Mona plays. Even on stream on the top 8, I knew he was trying to go in for the Demona plays, and I'm linking my Cobra, or I'm like, I probably need this to finish the game up, but I'm like, no, I'll take. I know he's
Just
the
get
only
cards.
way that he's
I'm
getting
gonna
back
draw
in the
three
game is if
cards
he
off this
Demonas.
Demona. Let me just use all. I don't want to miss
Um,
out on any resources. No,
so
I suppose that Purple Seal, that is one of the tactics of knowing those games, when to pump the brakes on inking and when to keep
yeah.
inking, so that way your resources will get refilled. Or in those instances against blue, where it's also they're probably gonna into the unknown me. They're probably gonna hit me with a Hades at some point. I probably
Yeah,
can stop inking it for.
I'm not a Purple Steel player. This was the first time I ever played Purple Steel in any of Lorcana event ever. I'm normally obviously the red purple guy. I
The
played
Amethyst.
Blurple. I played Blurple and Yellow Purple the last 2 DLCs, so I've never even played Purple Steel. But when I was testing and I made the list and I was testing online, I went. My record at one point was 33-1. And I was like, I have to sleeve this up. I have to bring this. Even though it's a small testing sample, I was 2-0ing a bunch
You,
of I was
you
2-0ing
you just
Blurple.
felt
I
comfortable
was
with the deck.
winning in the
It just
dog
went.
matchup. I was winning on the draw. But the deck's not easy. The purple so me playing it throughout this event and been testing with it, the purple seal is not as easy as it seems, especially when you play against purple. When you get past turn 4 and 5, you have to make those micro decisions correct. You have to ink the right card and think about the next turn ahead. If my opponent does Elsa me this turn, if I ink this, do I auto lose or can I keep this in my hand? Are they gonna Demona me? Or Should I draw 2 cards or 1 card off if they do demote me? Is this card really worth it? Those micro decisions are huge. Again, another one of my future matches, I crashed my Diablo into his Hades, and I drew a card, and I drew a Hades, and it completely changed my play for turn. If I don't do that, and I just I'm just gonna put the gas on quest and play a genie or play whatever I was gonna play instead, maybe that game turns out differently. But I top decked a Hades and targeted his thing, and he put it on the bottom of his deck. He didn't want me to draw 2, so it was those micro decisions come up big sometimes, and you gotta
And
just know when.
making your opponent make those micro decisions is one of the things I love about Hades looking for a good deal. It's just like such a good
Yeah.
card for that, where it's like, no, no, now you have to make this. I'm forcing you to make a micro decision right now, and you might make the wrong one, and then that's going to throw you off and throws the volleys it into their court.
No, it's I've watched the match over of the streams, and I was watching chat, and I know people are saying, obviously, why do you ink this at that time? And it's like you gotta just play.
Retrospect,
You
like,
just gotta
yeah,
play
of
within the
course.
flow state of the game. I inked a cat because I didn't have anything else to ink that turn, or just in retrospect, I was thinking this cat isn't gonna do anything. Nobody's turning anything sideways for the next few turns, and I just don't. If I play it, I'm not so much losing tempo, I guess, but I'm not playing a 5-drop. I'm playing a 3-drop and then passing. So, or vice versa. I'm playing a 4-drop instead. I rather use all of my ink efficiently and obviously not get stuck back a turn.
Absolutely. I think that the only time when looking back, and because we started making gameplay videos, go back and I watch videos where I even make mistakes and stuff. But then again, I
Oh yeah,
also try to give myself grace too, where I'm also like, I also see my opponent's hand. I know what's gonna happen. It's like seeing if you can't go back. So with things
so
like that, you just got to look forward and learn from those small decisions. And maybe you still would ink the cat next time, and that was the right decision in a vacuum. If we always had perfect information, we'd always make the perfect play. You don't know your opponent's hand.
shout out Frank Carson. He was defending me in the comments. He was like, he might not have inked the right card that turn, but it got him the win, right? So,
Of course.
but like you said, I've already gone back. I made a huge blunder, actually, game 2 in the finals. My teammates talked me over it, and it was kind of those Yu-Gi-Oh puzzles where if I would have just sat there and thought about it. This was also my first time being in an untimed environment. If you've ever played me, I'm actually I'm a quick player. I ink. It's something I gotta
You're
work
talking
on.
about the flow state, and I agree with it. We're playing the game. You know what I mean? We're not
I've
just tanking constantly.
I'm a
But
strong believer of I want the game of Lorcana to settle outcome of games. So I don't like when time is called and I gotta make micro decisions and turns and or nobody gets there and then we both tie and then we're both basically knocked out of the event or it's not good for both players, especially in early rounds. So I hate that happening to both players. So I try to play faster and it might not be the best thing for me, but that's just what I do. So when I was in the finals, if you watch Sailor, like I said, he's a great player. He's been in that situation a bunch of times. He took his time. Sometimes we're not going nowhere. And he took his time every turn and he played perfectly and made the right decisions. And the play was, I should have sang, he had the double Mickey Amber champion. So they were both 2 7s. At that point, I was like, game's already over. But I did go 1 2 3, and I did have the strength in my hand. And the first mistake I did was I played Yzma on 4, and I had an angel, and I should have just inked the Yzma and played the angel, and not discarded anything because everything was buffed from the 2 things. But I went with the Yzma instead, and then the next turn I had the strength in hand. So my idea was I was gonna play a 5th character and then strength one of the Mickeys and then try and climb
attack.
back from there. But then I drew an Elsa per turn, and so my hand was I like a blank, an Elsa, strength, and then angel. So I think it was an uninkable. So I had to ink the angel, which should have been the Yzma, but then I played the Elsa, tapped one of the Mickeys, and I was like, so now I can kill the Mickey, or challenge the Mickey, take it out, and then sing and kill the other Mickey with my 5 characters. And then at one point, I forget that it has +2 health, and I have the Elsa and the Calhoun. So what I should have done was sing with the Lexington first and put the 5 damage on the ready Mickey Mouse, and then used my Elsa, Captain Hook, and Calhoun to take out the tapped one that I tapped. And then that would have killed both of them because once the tapped one was dead,
It
The other
lost its
one wouldn't
+2
would have
health,
just died,
and
and then I
it would
could
have
have.
fizzled it from the yeah.
Yep. And then I would have had the Yzma tap, and I would have been able to draw 2 cards. So I would have had 3 cards in my hand. And then the next turn, he under the sees me, and I just have a tapped Lexington with. Well, I would have had
3 cards
so
in hand.
it wouldn't have tapped, but I would have drew to 4 cards and probably been in a better position. I don't know if that would have changed the outcome of the game, but definitely if I switched the Yzma with the if I would
Angel.
have switched the Angel, I would have been able to discard the last card in my hand after I killed both Mickeys to kill the Willow Tree on the board, and then my board wouldn't have been able to get under the seed. And I think that would have been enough to at least change possibly the outcome of the game. Again, I don't know. This is just hearsay. I
Of
don't
course.
know. I can go
Well,
back and
of
play out
course.
the cards and stuff, but I can't decide Sailor's decisions and stuff.
No,
But I would have been in a way better position, and I wouldn't have lost my board the next turn. And first 2 games, he didn't see Tramp 7. So I was like, this is amazing. This is how I win. But then he played double Mickey Champion. I'm like, oh, this is how I lose. And I got out of that situation, and those 2 micro decisions that we were just talking about. My invite cost me the finals. I played great all day. I was undefeated, 10-0-2, and those little
it's
decisions, you know.
it's something to be said about also being the type of player to play a card that others are less familiar with. Not that we haven't seen the Amber Mickey card
Yeah.
before, but it is not a regularly played against card. So you get this striking advantage against your opponent who has probably played 35 games against dogs without Mickey. And so the amount of lines to know just those small interactions, or even just like remembering that, because the health isn't necessarily glowing in front of you.
No,
It's
yeah,
not like
which
a video
there's
game where it's like cards that
exactly.
look normal. And so in your head, you're doing math. It's like Cogsworth, with the resist. It's
Mhm.
stuff that, or even just remembering that your opponent's card have ward if they're not a card you see on a regular basis. Small evasive text. Those things can get
Yep.
missed sometimes just because, I don't even remember what that card does. Let me read it again. Oh, man, this card's actually super good right now. Dang. All right. Who let them print that?
That was another thing that Angel that resist too with no cards in hand. There was times against the
Wait,
Oracle
wait, wait,
players
what?
where no cards in hand, and you like your 2 Genies and your 2 Hades, and nothing can kill it unless you crash everything into it, and you don't want to do that. You got to take 3 characters to kill it. So no, it just randomly pops up that resist. It's a great mechanic. It's always been really good since it's been on any character it's been on. So
This is always put in work. Makes that distinction of moving damages and stuff also interesting and keeps it nice and fresh. But
yeah.
heck, I think I love this deck. I've dabbled a little bit in purple steel, and I think that this list is super fun.
So it was open deck list and top cut, obviously. So I can't wait for it because they didn't share deck list until the next day. So we didn't know anybody's tech cards until literally 5 minutes before we got their decks. We knew the colors, we knew what everyone was
This
playing
person's
because
I saw that
once
guy
you
on
get to the
dogs,
final
or I saw
round, you know what everyone's playing. But we didn't know certain deck techs and stuff. So Sailor laughed again. I love that dude. I never had more of a crazy match where it was like so much on the line. I was in the zone, obviously, but I was so just like casually playing the game of Arcana with him. It was just like we were testing. It wasn't like you wouldn't even think, like, we were just laughing back and forth. And what did he say? He looked at my list and he was like, "You can't be playing 3 cat. That's crazy." He's like, "That's the one." He's like, "I don't know if that's correct, but he's like, you're in the finals, so you're doing something right." I was
It's like,
like, I was like, you gotta fit room somewhere. And he's like, "Cuts." But I was like, I was like, again, I don't know. I'm not a purple steel player. I'm just the list was
once you
working.
start getting tight to these lists, it becomes that you need to have the threes are like fours. If everything's a three, then
If you look at the deck, it's a bunch of 3 because I was like, I'm just cutting a card here, and I was like, oh, this equals 60. All right, let's just go. And then when I started testing, it just worked. And then I was like, I don't want to switch numbers around. It's testing good. And so that's why I just sleeved it up, and it worked out really good. And people were asking me why. I want to answer questions that I've been getting on Twitter and everything.
of course.
People were asking me about Pocahontas, why I'm playing Calhoun over Pocahontas. My honest take on it is like I honestly didn't use a lot of games and testing with Pocahontas. Like I said, I jammed this list as much as I could because it was being successful. But when I was playing Pocahontas, or when I played against it at least, I would feel like it would quest once and then die. Where Calhoun just stays there. Like they have to trade probably 2 things into it. And then also just like, he gains 2 lore randomly. He takes out the octopus.
Royal Guard, so they Calhoun's a menace because of that lore
And
gaining
just
and the resist too.
going Diablo or whatever, like it, and then questing with your one drop against Blurple and stuff like that, and then they don't want to trade with their
They don't
Basil
want
because
to draw
so
him a card off the Diablo dying, and then he's going to attack my thing back with Calhoun. So he's going to
and
draw a card and
so
gain 2 lore.
and I was like, trying to hedge points against obviously each matchup. So I was like, if I'm going with this Christopher Robin, Lexington, and Diablo line versus Blurple, I was like, I don't want to go another aggressive card with Pocahontas for Blurple. I'd rather get a hedge some points towards dogs and play Calhoun. So that was my backing on that. And then just the 3-drop spot. I was like, Genie 3-drop tested so good in testing. I kept bouncing it with Olaf when I didn't have docks, and it was acting like a dock because it would have 1 or 2 cards under it. It was like a draw 2, and then just replay it. And then Yzmo just replaced Dumbo. I felt like the yellow purple decks. There was another event, I think the TFM event, and majority of Top Cut or majority of the players were playing yellow purple. So I was just taking the meta from what I was seeing from all these events because I figured that a bunch of great players were going to be there, and they were. So I just
So the
kind of
meta
took a
kind of
little bit
shapes
of,
up around what was shaking around the higher
yeah.
ends of the meta.
And that's why I wasn't on any item hate. My
Mhm.
team, Luxury Gaming, obviously, my teammates were hitting me up and they were sharing lists, and talking about lists that some players were like that they had stumbled upon, and their list seems pretty good. And I saw a list, not the exact list that Sailor was playing, but a list that was all in on Under the Sea and not playing Chromacon, and I was like, this version's better. I honestly do think it's better
I like
because like
I like
because
Under
like
the Sea
Mickey,
more than
that
Chromacon.
the Mickey Mouse is so good.
Singer ability is just nuts.
It protects you against the steel decks that you think you're bad against, obviously, and then it just a Singer 8 itself. And most of the games are just who plays Under the Sea first. And that's kind of what happened game 3 in the finals. If you look, he Under the Sea's my board, and the game's over there. Like that, and when I
Yeah,
say like, we were having fun, I look at some shuffling, and then he's like, "I'm like, you won, dude. I know you won, but I'm just putting on a show for the stream right now."
yeah.
I'm like,
We
let
gotta
me.
play. We
I'm
have to
gonna play my
formally finish this game. You actually have to knock me down. Like
exactly. I didn't hear no bell.
it's not over, bro. No
Um,
bell.
but and then even like game 3, he knew when I what happened was game. I knew I was basically done. My turn 4 play, I had Yzma Genie in my hand, and I drew another Genie. So I had to ink the Yzma, and then I had Genie in my hand. And he's just gonna wipe my board anyway, even if he didn't have the Lullaby or the card that shrinks my guy's attack by 2, and he just left me a Lexington.
The
I'm like,
Devil
the
Moon
game's
Lullaby.
over. When I played Olaf on 2, I was like, this is not good. And then I didn't have strength to strength. If I could strength the tree on 3 so that he
You could
couldn't get
slow
to
him
the
down
trip.
just a little bit.
And I'm like, and I was like, these genies aren't bad on 4 because I'm not going to get Under the Sea as fast. Because like that's what you got to do. Like, you got to take the gamble where like that was my view is against dogs. Like, they're gonna Mowgli you on 2 and try and hit a 4 of out of a 60 card deck. They're not playing tree. They're not like that's fine. And then if they miss,
Hmm.
the game's over. They just go
If you don't
miss.
actively hit strength, and I know players that, especially game 2 and 3, they will mulligan their strengths against dogs because they know the Mowgli might be coming. So they,
I just kept it because I took the gamble where I was like, if they have the Mowgli and they hit my strength, they're not playing Willow Tree on 2, and then that's fine. I feel like in my eyes, it was fine. But then if they went Willow Tree on 2 and I had my strength, I could just strength their Willow Tree, hard cast it on 3, and I would do that every time. There was very few times where I wouldn't do that. But I was gonna say in game 3 against Sailor, he at one point he knew that I was not in a good position and the game was basically over. Even before the end of the season, I was shaking my head because I knew, and I know nobody can hear us talking, and he was just like, play to your outs. And he said that to me as because we have respect for one another, obviously,
yeah, a good
and
gesture.
he was like, don't
Yeah,
give up. He's like, because he actually didn't have Under the Sea. He didn't have, so
it's
he
not
said
over
that to
yet,
me.
man.
He was like,
Play it out.
play to your outs. So I
Of
respect
course.
that dude. He was awesome, and I'm proud and I'm happy that at least I lost to him, and he's that whole team, and It was awesome. And it was like either way, it would have been funny because like I was like, oh, I get to either play Sailor in the finals or I got to play against Red Purple in the finals, which would have been a story within
Such an
itself.
ironic thing, especially
Yeah.
irony in that if
So
you
either
can't
way,
beat
it
the
would have
red
been
purple, where
funny.
you're just like, no, I couldn't.
Yeah.
I should have played red purple. I didn't.
The community would have chewed me out if I would have lost to Red Purple in the
Look
finals.
at that.
Like,
Did you ended up hitting most of those questions you had gotten across Twitter?
a lot of people were just
Okay,
asking me
sweet.
about Pocahontas and basically like why I was playing the one drops. And like I said, when I was looking at the list, I was just seeing everyone not playing Lexington anymore, and people. Here's why I'm playing Lexington over GG. Just there was multiple times where they would crash their Hippo or something small into it, and then they were able to take it out. It would just die, and I was like, Lexington is just a butt. He's always a 4. They can't just manipulate the board or figure out a way to get around it. They have to just deal with 4-4. And multiple times, like be stoned by day.
Worth it for those 4 attacks that you get sometimes,
Yeah,
especially if
and I
you
was
get
like,
there,
it's not
like,
that hard to get not have 3 cards in your hand. And then I'm like, if my opponent's gonna demona me, most of the times they're giving me cards. So I'm okay with that. This deck kind of excelled off of my opponent's demonas. I'm not gonna lie. I would realize that I have enough draw with my Yzma and Doxes, and if I have an Olaf on the board, I can cycle my Doc. And if you can get that read on your opponent that they're trying to like demona you, and you're gonna draw 2 or 3 off their demona, and then
mhm.
you like demona them back, it's so backbreaking. It reminded me of B Prep War. It was the first person to be. You don't want to be the first person to
Yeah,
be prep. So it was like you don't want to be the first person to demona, unless you're drawing 3. But that was the thing is when they were trying to set up to draw 3, I was drawing 3 or drawing 2, so it wasn't as bad. It was a fun weekend, like I said. Let's see, how can I say this without getting too emotional? It was a long time playing this game. I've been playing since day one. I try to go to all the events I possibly can. I got a family, a full-time job, so it's tough for me to get time off of work and do these events. But when I go out, I make the finals or not the finals. I make the bubble where it's like win
hmm
and make top cut or win and get your invite. And this was just another one of those events, but it didn't
yeah.
leave that bad of a. It didn't feel too bad because the community reached out and it got my name back out there for
Bring your
everyone
spirits up. I
because
mean,
it
like
was
you,
like I
like you're up there.
so like I was telling everyone like it's tough to travel and get to do these games, so it was hard to like the finals and then lose obviously. But like, I've been doing it my entire career, if you want to say that, playing
Yeah, of course.
TCGs. So I was saying some people that don't know, I won the first online event for the game of Lorcana back in the day when the thing Pixelborn was a thing.
Hmm.
That's why a lot of players say like, great players or old players. That's where we all came from. When we couldn't, there was no tournament, so you couldn't even get product anywhere.
It was very seldom people actually had the
So yeah,
cards they needed.
shout out Pixelborn, and to this day, I love that place. I don't. Uh, that was the reason why I play this game. It was that made me who I was, and so those events. But ever since then, when we started playing in person and going to these events, and then just making the bubble, and you see all of these other amazing players, and people that you've grown up with playing, and seeing them on the top of the ladder board, and them all getting their invites or being successful winning Mickey Mouses and all this other stuff, and you're just on the back pedal with the back burner, and it stinks. It hurts a little bit. But the community, all of those guys, they always tell me you deserve it. No one deserves it more than you. You're one of the best players in the game, and it means a lot. I know I hear it all the time. You hear it from multiple people, but I really do love and appreciate everybody in this game. And though it might not mean a lot, but it might not seem like it's a lot, but it does because it is a toll when you're getting so close every time. And then I'm not gonna lie, at nationals last year, LCQ, you got to win 5 rounds. I lost in the last round of the LCQ. I went 4-0 and then lost in the last round. And I
Nah.
literally called my wife, basically crying. It was I've gotten so close every time, and I can't get over that hill. And it's like everyone says, it's coming one day. You deserve it, and to be that close again, one game away was like I had to keep it together, and all these people reaching out, it does help. So it still hasn't hit me yet, but you were that close. But it is what
The
it is.
impressiveness, obviously, that disappointment can hit because you obviously wanted to get there. But again, how much of a great achievement it is to have gotten there in the first place, to sit in that seat, and that all of the wonderful connections that you had up to this point. I shouted it out earlier, but Luxury Games, for helping get you there. And then there's also all the players throughout time, even before, during the time when we were playing Pixelborn, where there was no product, people who are lending out cards. There's always been a strong community for that in Lorcana, where it's just like, oh, deck, here you go, boop, and you go win a tournament with a deck that's not even yours. And that's just such an amazing community to have. There's so many communities
Yeah.
where it's not the case, where people are just like, oh, go play with this deck, and it's really
I
awesome
say
to
to
see that
everyone that
too.
the game of Arcana is not that hard. You just gotta learn the card pool and what your opponent's gonna do with their deck, and what you can do with your deck. But the game's not that hard just to pick up and you just learn and start doing stuff. But the community itself is probably the best TCG community I've ever been in. Obviously, coming especially from the Yu-Gi-Oh community. I don't
Hmm.
know. We won't even mention them.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah, yeah.
like
I'm originally from
most
Magic, and while I've heard stories of Yu-Gi-Oh that have made my head spin a little bit, where I'm like, oh, really? That's crazy. But no,
but
Magic can be quite spiky, and the thing is that if you're gonna win, at least be honorable about winning, and you see that a lot in Lorcana. And then when you
and
lose,
I'm
you know what I mean? You take it on the chin, and everybody respects you for it because you gave it your best, you flowed with the game, and you had an amazing run, and we have a bunch of people backing you and supporting you. And you'll get them
everyone
next
and
time.
everyone in the game, everyone in the community, if you have questions or anything, if you ask, most of the people will help you. I don't really know any of these. We keep saying top players, or most of these people will just help you if you just go up and ask them and talk to them. Or I know I definitely will. Like, and I don't want to give myself a big head, but if anybody ever came up to me and asked me questions or wanted information about anything, I would give it to them. I know people charge for coaching and meta final stuff, but like most of the time these people will help you. I was helping my opponents after our matches. If they asked me, like, did I do anything wrong? And I would be like, in my opinion, this is what I would have done. But I can't tell you if that was the wrong. I don't know your
I
cards,
don't
your
know
imposition.
exactly what you had in your hand. If you
Yeah.
can't tell me exactly what
So
you inked that typo, and you can't tell me what you
like
saw, that visions of the
it,
future, I can't
yeah,
really tell you if you made the
tell you what
correct play.
exactly. But there was one dogs player. I don't remember his name. I apologize. I wouldn't call him out anyway. But he game two he forgot to activate his Chromacon twice and didn't bounce anything. And you could like there was people watching me and if you played against me, I try to be the most respectful player that I possibly can, and I said I want the game of Arcana to dictate the outcome of the game. Like I killed his thing. I had two genies and something else. And I quested with the genies and then killed his thing. And he was like, "Is it my turn now?" And I was like, "No." And I was like, "I still have to do my stuff. So take my turn." But I waited like a good 10 seconds after I killed his thing, and I was looking at him, and he looked at me and was like, "Is it my turn?" And I was like, "No, you're not gonna bounce anything. I'm not gonna babysit you."
That's where things get murky too, where it's like I'm not going to tell you what to do, especially when it's a May thing. You know what I
It's
mean?
a
It becomes like
exactly.
I can't tell you to do this thing. I'm not going to beg the
I'm not gonna force
question,
myself to
but
lose.
oh no, of course. And in those regards, that's where also Lork doesn't blur the lines as much as some other games, where it's like it's very clear
Yeah.
cut. If it says
And,
May, then it's May. I mean,
people watching the game were they even
just like,
said
oh my
afterwards
good.
when I told him I was like you didn't activate your chromacon effect and they were like I waited I gave him a chance so it's just stuff like that and I say this all the time is be friendly whenever your opponents like I said I always shake hands and that's why most of you ever see me I'm playing on a mat with a bunch of signatures on it all of the homies all of the people that I travel and play and can't wait to see go out to dinner with that's why I love this game. Like people, I try to be as respectful as I can, and I don't want to be a person that you can't come up and have a conversation with. I will talk to anybody, and I respect anybody that plays this game. So,
It's been quite the Lorcana adventure throughout the years.
oh yeah,
So
no, it's I love this game. I love this from day one. I miss broom looping. I know most people don't. Some people
hmm
probably know what that is. Some people
I,
do.
a
But
small bit of history is that actually right at the beginning when set one came out, Mike and I had quite the RBM,
yeah,
the back and forth going on for a while, and then Ricky and I continue to run into each other in many local events, and it's just a
and
small
it's
enough
like
world that actually Mark actually knew Mike prior to Lorcana from Yu-Gi-Oh, and then it was like, oh, Mike, oh, Mark, wait,
yeah.
what? Finger pointing, but that it's awesome to see both luxury and you and the Illuminators Workshop and Mark and all these people around us grow and go in different
So
avenues
the whole
and see the game grow as well.
it's the point of playing TCGs, the people you meet and like you said, the connections, like the luxury gaming, the owner Nick. I used to give him rides to locals for Yu-Gi-Oh back in the day, and now he sponsors me on a team. And it's crazy how everything it's all about connections, and you never know who you're gonna meet. And I remember mainly everyone I talk to. Like when I go to these events, I can't wait to see everybody, and they all know who they are. I can't even name them all because there's so many of you, and I just appreciate every single one of you. Like I said, the whole weekend was awesome. People, I was posting, obviously, my run, and everyone was getting updated. And the day two, because day one I was locked in. I didn't really post that much until I was like, oh, guys, I'm undefeated. I'm top seed. So, but day two, I kept everyone posted. I was like, all right, top 16, here we go. All right, on to the top 8, on to top 4. I was like, all right, and then one away, and then fell short. But we'll get there, dude. We'll get there. I'm not going nowhere. I love this game. Like I said, I'll travel to the events that I can to, and it stinks that it's so hard to get your invite. It's so hard. Like that, I made a post. It just proves how hard it is to get to these, to get your invite, to get to nationals, to get to worlds, and how these top players keep getting their invites and going, and it's not by luck. They make a difference. They separate themselves, and it shows.
No, of course. And I think it's also like, bioavailability type deal too. You know what I mean? These players are great, but also opportunity knocks at you miss 100% of the shots you never take. You know what I mean? For example, it was like you don't get into Texas, or you don't your flight gets canceled to Seattle, or you can't make it to Hong Kong. There are these things where it would be nice as the game gets larger to have these more pyramid based smaller tournaments at the base level of your local game
Yeah.
store, working up so that way in Magic they used to have a thing called Planeswalker points, where it was like you could win these smaller events around you and then build those up, and then if you got X amount of points within the year, you could trade that in for like a World's invite, or you could trade it in
Yeah.
for a Pro Tour invite. I don't know if they have some equivalent like that in Yu-Gi-Oh, but I think that would be a great addition. It's an awesome promotional thing for any card.
I know CCQs were a new thing, obviously, this year, and I guess I'll be the first one to be like, there should be more than one invite handed out.
No, absolutely.
Somebody said it. I've heard it from multiple people, and again, this is another thing I reached. I was like, I won 2. When you go to your LCQ, for your last chance qualifier, you got to win 5 rounds, and you can play against obviously random people.
Mm-hmm.
And I won 10. I won 2 LCQ pods with juggernauts of this game in that room,
Mm-hmm.
and I still walked away with nothing except some glory and honor and some respect.
Well,
And
I think that's what it comes down to, is that the tournament either needs to be more frequent, that you're giving out more of these first place.
at least top 4 maybe, or
The
just
event would
one. Just
the
one's
event would be
rough.
larger too. If you and we talk about this a little bit with some of the tournaments, because we're doing a Luminaries Workshop tournament, 21st of March at One Up Games, and we're giving away some of our DLC Richmond promos. And what we realized is that by us saying, "Hey, we're going to give away a bunch of DLC promos and a bunch of Winter Spell packs," just by saying that, we've already drummed up enough people to want to come. So when you go and you say something like top 8 is going to get invites to these, more
Yeah.
people are going to come, more people are going to spend that money,
Oh,
and it becomes this huge thing.
it wasn't easy for me to. I had to work I worked a closing shift into an open shift, left my job, picked up the rental, and drove 6 hours there. So that's not easy for me to be like, I'm betting on myself to go all the way down here. So I have to win the event. I don't have to, like,
There is no
I'm
like
doing this
draw
to
and then
get
get
my
top 8
invite.
and then be happy about my Golden Mickey deal.
No,
It's
I have to win. And I put myself in the best position I could. So I was undefeated. I didn't lose a single match until the finals, and I can't beat myself up. I made one blunder in the finals, and I can go back and be like, "Oh, what up?" I played great. I was making crazy plays. People that were watching my games were like, "You're making lines that I didn't see," and I was like,
like
"I don't know. I just went. You gotta just." I was reading the chat, like I said, and I was like picking out things. Somebody said, "Sometimes you just gotta trust your deck to do what it's supposed to do," and that's kind of what I was doing. If I don't top deck a Doc
like
or a
that.
Demona within the next 3 cards, or a Genie, if I don't see a draw engine the next few cards, like, I'm gonna lose. but my deck shouldn't do that. I should find
We
something.
know what we
And
put in the deck. There's lots of exert their characters things to challenge
yeah,
them. We have Demonas and we have Elsa. We have lots
yeah.
of draw effects. We have four
So,
strengths in the deck for a reason. We want to see it.
but that was my run, and said I wanted to do this. I wanted to do this interview with you guys. I know some people hit me up, and it's nothing against any other channel or anything, but Zach and Mark are local to me. They've been local, and I really appreciate these guys, and I want to help their channel. So I figured after my great run, I'll help them out,
No, yeah.
and we'll do this interview on their channel and hit them with a sub or
Yeah, please subscribe. The Illuminators Workshop YouTube. We've got our stuff on Spotify. This will eventually end up on Spotify as well.
I'm
Luxury
gonna
Games for doing a
yeah.
interview with us.
I love them. They take care of me. We were one of the first few teams that when we started doing teams, when we started playing Lorcana, we started doing teams, and there was only a few teams, and now it's awesome that there's so many teams. I love it. I love that about TCGs. It's awesome when I see all the jerseys, all the new different team names. It's so awesome. When I was a kid playing Yu-Gi-Oh, I saw the old Yu-Gi-Oh teams, and I was like, oh, that's so cool. That's so like basketball wise, I'm a big basketball guy. I was like, that's so cool. Like, you got this sports aspect with TC cards, and I was like, I want to be on a team. And for me to be an adult now and be on a team and doing stuff like this is awesome. It's just full
The
circle, and it's like
camaraderie
it's
of a team, man, it
yeah.
is something else.
But I am
Even just the team here at the Illuminators Workshop, it's awesome to be able to meet people and then partners with people and stuff. We've worked with El Cardboard, and those guys are awesome. Worked with One Up, they're awesome. Maria and Mark have Mark's always bringing great ideas
yeah.
to the table, and Maria is such a great editor and stuff. Like this video is going to come out so awesome.
No,
Have
for real,
awesome
no,
stuff all
seriously.
around it. Just because I'm not the tech person here, I'm not pulling the strings.
No, guys, seriously, if there's a channel that needs a sub or these guys, like our local scene, obviously when the game first started was awesome, but these guys help out all of the local shops. They donate their own promos and product or whatever they can, and they really do help out the local community scene. So shout out to you guys for real. So if there's a channel or people that deserve a sub or whatever we're posting this on, it's you
Right
guys.
down
Like
there, a
for real,
link,
yeah.
link right
You guys,
here.
real. You guys be literally putting up your own stuff and to help out these other stores because you want to see them succeed, and that's awesome. You don't have to do that, and you guys do. So shout out to
Yeah,
you guys for
of
real.
course.
And then obviously shout out to Luxury Gaming.
Mhm.
Shout out Inking for the weekend. You put on a great event. The whole judging staff was awesome. Every round, the judges were friendly. Nobody was really hard on
Combative
anybody. Like,
or
they had to
like
buckle down
craziness.
and possibly game out game losses or whatever. They like the tournament was run smooth. There was a little hiccups because of Gent ticket or not the Gent the tickets went on sale for like the DLC in the middle of the event. So they even try to like, make it so that people were able to get tickets. They were like so no, it was an awesome weekend. So shout out to Inking. I'll definitely be back if the next event. I heard the first. I didn't get to go to the first one or the first few, and they said that every single time it's gotten better. So I highly doubt it won't be better the next time. So shout out to Inking, and then shout out to my opponents the whole weekend. Everybody I played respectful. Everyone is awesome. Shout out to Sailor for winning the whole thing. You're a homie. I love you, dude, and I know you're gonna crush it for the rest of the season.
That's right.
Shout out to all the homies this weekend that are playing in Ghent. If this gets posted before Ghent, no.
Absolutely.
So, and then shout out to my wife and kids. Without them, they let me go and travel and do this stuff. I hate leaving them. One of these days, I'll win a Mickey Mouse or something. We'll all go to Disneyland or something. That's the dream. That's the dream. So,
Absolutely. That being said, though, too, it's hard to do as well as you do without having some wonderful people back at home, doing
yeah.
it for. You know what I mean? So half the reason you were in the finals was because those two ladies back at home. You got to put up, get it done.
Because it's funny because I don't want to get sidetracked, but my wife will
Yeah.
call me when I'm at a DLC. I'll be like, "Oh, I'm 5-0 or I'm 6-0," and then she'll call me and be like, "Oh, what's going on?" I'll be like, "Well, ever since you called me, I've lost the next two. I'm
Why are
not
you
saying that you're the
distracting me?
I'm not saying that there's a common denominator here, but so like, that's why they won. She's like, "You didn't call me." I was like, "I didn't lose, so that's why I wasn't changing anything." So, but no, I love her to death. No,
Of course,
they're
of
the
course.
best, and I appreciate you guys. And
Yeah,
hopefully,
well,
the next time we do this, it's not a second place, it's a
it's first
first place.
place, and so, well, we over at Illuminators Workshop really appreciate you coming on, Mike, and we're happy to have you on, and we'll hopefully have some more different episodes with you coming on as a little guest appearance here and there if you'd like. You're a pleasure, and then hopefully we can get Mark in here too. So Shout out to Mark,
Yeah,
and then hopefully he'll be available next week.
we'll definitely do more. I'm gonna try and start streaming on Twitch because of the greatest simulator, Duels.ink. I love you guys, whoever created that. You guys are the other reason why I did so good this weekend. I'm not gonna lie, you guys are awesome. Just being able to play on my phone is insane. And test on my phone.
That's an awesome testing technique.
Yeah, no. So I'm gonna start trying to stream that stuff on Twitch. Just Lux Ferrante. I'm gonna try and start streaming in the morning when I can, before I go to work and when I get home after work for a few, just to try and do stuff. And hopefully you guys stop by. And I love to talk to people and just play the game of Lorcana. That's what I love doing,
Let's
and
do
it's
it.
awesome. And I don't plan on stopping anytime soon. So